What sayest thou, Master Matoya? We may accept this fate, or defy it, but we cannot deny it.
Deny? I am not wont to run from my troubles. Until our friend returns, I will hold the line.
This town certainly has changed, and not at all for the better. I'm not going anywhere. I promise you, Minfilia. Greater even than the seventh umbral calamity, must be undone. If history must be unwritten, let it be unwritten. What you must. Become the warrior of darkness.
And here we are. Did you enjoy that trailer? As we did. Although I only made a few changes, like cutting out some stuff. That'll be spoilers for later on down the line, and adding cut captions and such. We already have a hydrate and a posture check, if none of you nerds have already done it.
When do we not?
Always to have something on hand.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've got to fix my phone real quick so I can read the announcements. Changing my computer's Discord windows. So, welcome to season 2 of A Song of Crystal and Shadow, and this, I guess, season is called Shadows of the First. Now I'm gonna hold my breath for 2 seconds. Okay, so we are on session 17 or season 2, episode 1, whichever way you want to go about this. I do not care. You can choose at you will. But our first announcement, as always, sponsor for tonight is Canadian Dice. I'm going to switch to the mod view real quick. There we go. There, done. You can go to canadiandice.ca and use the code VACTER, all one word, at checkout for 15% off your order. Maggie's dice pick of the week is Dark Forest, despite what my banner says, but it's fine. The purple ones are also cool. I'll say whatever I like out loud. It's my game, damn it. Yes, Maggie's dice pick is Dark Forest because never ever happens and the forest at night, right? No, not ever. Second announcement: check out our merch store at tinyl.com/vacmerch. You can get wicked awesome designs like Half Orc Energy in the Vac Blob, and also 2 new Spooktober designs for Affy Affy's made in celebration of Spooktober for Extra Life. Speaking of, it officially begun 12 days ago now because it's the 12th, and basically we are raising money once again for Extra Life for Kids. Last year was basically a crazy month-long fundraiser with a 12-hour organized chaos stream run by Affy that was drop in or drop out. And last year we got to about 1,300. I don't have the current total because the fucking mod view doesn't show me the meter, but we are, I believe, getting close to halfway, somewhere around there. And I'm gonna basically try and bribe you all. The first person to donate, say, yeah, so we're about a quarter of the way then. Getting quarter of the way. I thought we were closer, but I thought we were like 600. But yeah, we're at 400 something. So I'm gonna bribe you all. First person to donate like $10 to while we're streaming, we'll get to create an item with a bit of guidance from yours truly for this lot to use or abuse. Just like I've made items for the other games, which have been used and abused.
Note to self: don't let Agni get a hold of anything.
No, don't let Agni get a hold of anything I make. Gods. Well, don't let Agni don't let Agni create an item for this game while we're talking about it. But if you want to donate, the link is either in the chat if you're watching. If you're on the podcast, it's tinyl.com/Vacter Extra Life 2023. And we're trying to get at least the same, if not better. Always better. Announcement numero 4. Yeah, I know, I mix languages, hush. Is the schedule. So 665 with Artemis, although it's Artemis' show, is tomorrow at 8:30 EST. Saturday morning with Dungeon Daddy Rick, we got Together Among the Stars at 11:30 AM EST, and Cat Lady Liz is their guest this week. Saturday evening it's Artemis and Emily at 7 PM EST with Vatpacker's Guide to TTRPGs, and this time it's more spells from, I'm assuming, the Player's Handbook from D&D from 5e. Sunday here on the Vector, 420 Blazer. Sunday on the Vector, Maple Street Trick or Treat at 8 PM EST, and that's being run by DM Aaron of Even Footing Games, and that is using their Kids on Bike system. Sunday, possibly, is Legacy of Fire over on Jeremy's channel. Afi and Artemis will be over there, maybe. Again, 7:30 EST if they play, or it might time might change. Back on Monday, it's Mistwalkers at 8:30. Tuesday is a new beta test of a system for Spooktober with DM Emily called Ominous, and that is at 8:30 EST. Wednesday, Aphemis are over at Cantrips and Coffee for the Society at 9 PM EST. And as always, if you can't make those live streams, you can always find our podcast wherever you download your podcasts from. And please behold the Void Panther. Darling, you're starting to get some spotty patches in your fur. I think you are nibbling yourself. Oh, you poor kitty. Come here. Come here. All right. Yes, everyone say hi to Donna.
Hello, Donna. I don't know what it is with black cats and nibbling themselves till baldness.
Yeah, doing a lot around her hindquarters.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, fleas are fairly close to the same colors. It's kind of hard to see them.
Thankfully, she's up to date on her flea treatments. So if
Yeah. It could be it's just too dry.
Yes, that's also a possibility because the heating. You got another new water fountain today, didn't you? So say to Artemis, if they set things on fire this game without the others present, we're gonna have a problem. Don't set the Crystarium on fire, you lot. I am warning you now.
I make no promises.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna lean back while I have this gorgeous cat probably snuggle on me for a little bit. It'll be a weird camera thing for those of you watching the stream, but hey, you get to watch a cat.
Cats.
Okay, so let's recap what happened at the end of season 1 and where I left you off, like a bastard who left you off on a cliffhanger. So, Bankred, through pulling numerous strings and invoking of numerous names, managed to get Yuli's prototype Allagan airship out to Camp Drybone a bit quicker than we anticipated, because, you know, also just the fact that, you know, Allagan airship, kind of speedy. The crew, there was a thing. Oh, here's Queen Mother, and it's 4 months in a row. Wicked. So, that threw me off my stride. They took the airship over to the Crystal Tower in Mordona and landed it in the basement in the Labyrinth of the Ancients. And thanks to Liliana's Allagan eyes, or Allagan eye, I should say, managed to ascend into the upper parts of the tower without activating the defense systems. Because I didn't really want to have to send you all for a freaking alliance raid. Although it seemed like you were all honestly jonesing for more combat, so I'll keep that in mind. But when you managed to get into the ocular of the Crystal Tower, at least in your timeline, or your part of the universe, yes, hello, Donna, hello. You heard those of you who heard the voice of a particular male individual coming through your head heard it once more, and all of you found yourself suddenly teleported through the void. You were granted a vision of a world in chaos. a world beset by primordial light, a literal flood of liquid light ether threatening to wash over and engulf the first, one of the 14 shards of our corner of the universe. The vision granted you a woman with blonde pigtails covered in pink ribbons, holding back the flood. But 4 individuals had to sacrifice their lives to give her the power to do so. The 5th, a man with an axe, was denied and told he had other parts to play in the salvation of Norvrandt, the land that is now remaining after the flood. After that, you all landed unconscious. And that is where season 1 ended, and where season 2 picks up. So, as you come around to where you may be now, you see a sky that is, it looks like daytime to you. Very bright daytime, not a cloud in the sky. It looks unnatural, sickly even, arguably. And if you start to look around your immediate surroundings, you notice that the ground is purple. There's purple grass, and the trees are sprouting violet-colored leaves of different shades.
Oh, great. We're on Namek.
Yes. We're now a Dragon Ball Z game.
So which one of us is going to go Super Saiyan first?
We'll see. And you all start to regain consciousness, and you notice that 2 of your number are missing. Specifically, Kemi and Crayon are not with you. Don't know whether they managed to wake up before you and went off to go find help, or whether something happened in the void, or honestly, you have no freaking clue. But they should be okay. Those 2 are strong, right? Right? Anyway, you all start to wake up, and at that point, I'm handing it over to you lot while I pet my cat menacingly.
I guess for Lily, the first thing she would do is make sure everybody was okay.
Iku would do the same.
You don't. Basically, as you look over everyone that made it through, no wounds, no etheric disturbances, even though you've just taken a trip through the void. Everything seems to have settled.
Well, the first thing Shikana was doing.
I can't check the tab right now, so you're gonna have to, because cat. So you will have to tell me what you roll on your drunk check, because your possessions are all with you, by the way. I should make that clear. Your possessions did make it through with you, so you have your drinks and stuff.
I got a 72.
Good.
That
Kyle, you think that you might be hallucinating a little bit from the drink? That sky definitely looks weird. So do these trees.
Second thing would be trying to get our bearings, see if there's any kind of landmark or people or anything around us that could give us a general direction of where we might need to go. Footprint.
Yeah, I got a couple of landmarks for you. You notice to the northwest of your current location. I had to think about that for a second, hence the gestures. Yes, I'm not pointing at you. You notice an exact replica of a structure you've seen before. A crystal tower.
Weren't we just at the Crystal Tower? Yuku is just so confused.
Lily just kind of puts up a hand as she's thinking.
And you do hear the warble of a chocobo further down the road and a fire crackling.
Yes, we were at the tower.
Must be what happened to Akemi then. They heard the chocobo and ran away.
Uh, I mean, if you think about it, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that saw the blinding light and the images.
Yeah, I saw all of it too.
I did too.
Which means we went from being in the Crystal Tower to somewhere new. Almost like a teleportation type magic.
And here I thought I just blacked out.
That would be common for you, yes, but no, this time it wasn't your fault.
Oh, so it's not something in my drink then. Good to know, she says as she takes another swig.
Though we should probably figure out exactly where we are.
That would be wise.
Well,
We
there's one way
can
we can find out.
either head towards the Chocobo or head towards the tower.
Yuku starts heading towards the chocobo noises.
Or they're just going to go off on their own. No discussion. Okay.
I guess we're going that way.
So, assuming that the rest of you also follow Yuku, you eventually come across a makeshift campsite with an old geezer wearing peddler's clothes, sitting by the fire having a drink, and the chocobo kind of tied up to a tree nearby. The reins tied up. Clearly, the chocobo is domesticated of sorts. Not just some wild chocobo poached or anything. Heaven forbid. And he notices the four of you and stands up and gives you a nod and holds the drink out towards you. What are you lot doing out so far then, eh? Ain't safe to be out this time of night.
You
Yuku
wanna run-
pauses, looks up at the sky, like confused.
Jackson follows suit.
So it's nighttime right now.
Ah, ain't that the oldest bleeding trick in the book? And he kind of looks up at the sky, and you can tell he's had a few shots of whatever it is he's drinking. And he kind of holds his arms out and twirls around a little bit while he's looking up at the sky. And when, pray tell, did we last have a dark night? Eh? Like I said, the oldest joke in the book.
Do forgive me, but could you elaborate on where we are?
What, did you lot hit your head or something? Or did the Sin Eaters get to one of you? You're in Norvrandt. Specifically, you're in Lakeland. And that over there is the Crystarium. You didn't get eaten. You didn't get touched by one of the Sin Eaters, did you? Your turn.
No. None of that. We just had a little too much to drink.
Oh, that makes sense. And he sniffs the air and he looks at Chicago. Yeah, I'll say.
We're just
Yeah, some of us
drinking-
can handle our alcohol better than others.
Well, assuming that you're telling me the truth, which I have no reason to believe otherwise. Yeah, it's night time, and you're in Norvrandt. You're in our part of Norvrandt by the Crystarium. I just finished dropping off some supplies there before I was going to head a bit further towards Fort Job. But it's been 100 bloody years since we had a proper light. Since the flood. But since then, the sky's been light no matter what. Only way to keep time is with a chronometer or some such.
So Lily would kind of just take a deep breath. And the Crystarium, it's a safe place?
Oh yeah.
So would it?
It's run by a fella called the Crystal Exarch. Bit of a shadowed history, that one. Doesn't talk much about himself. But it's also run by the town guard. And they have a checkpoint just outside the city. And they tend to deal with any sin eaters or wandering beasties that get a bit too close to the city walls. Not to mention the enchantments placed on the city itself.
So if we were looking for our, let's say, comrades, that would be the best place to start.
Yeah, I ain't seen anyone wandering by here apart from you lot. Right to say.
Okay. She'd look back at the group. I guess we have our destination then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Gotta start somewhere.
I
Well-
mean, Achilles not the smartest, but he is, or they are resourceful. And I don't know the other one very well. They don't talk much.
Well, I'll leave you lot to it. Best of luck finding your mates in the Crystarium. Shall I walk with you?
Thank you.
I mean, if you don't want to stay out here, you're more than welcome to come with us.
Nah, like I said, I'm going the opposite way. I'm going east towards Fort Job and the board with the Ratika Greatwood. I don't go in there though. Those Vs over there are a bit mean if you walk into their territory. Huh.
Then I suppose safe travels.
Aye. And he nods and sits back down and takes another sip of his, looking over at the chocobo.
She'd start heading towards the Crystarium.
Yuku, of course, does the uppies so that she can get a ride on Jackson's shoulders.
Jackson scoops her up and hustles after.
Because short little legs
All I imagine is
compared to everyone else.
Jackson just panicking one day and just tosses the potato.
I can see that.
My mind went somewhere completely different with that turn of phrase, but we won't go there right now. My mind went British. Shall we say? Anyway. So, start heading up the path towards the Crystarium. And as you kind of get to the outer walls, of which are just made of stone, and the surroundings are still very much the same. Like, there's kind of hills of rock, and the trees and grass are still purple. The rock looks different shades to what you're used to back home, back on the source. But otherwise, you can't really tell much of a difference. So As you approach, a Vieira comes walking out of the guard post and puts a hand up, and Carl, you notice that she has 2 chakrams on her hips, but she is a white-haired Vieira with, has purplish eyes. I could be wrong. I should have put her in the journal, but can't. Puts her hand up. She's wearing kind of like leather armor with a red cape, and the leather, and then like her greaves and braces are also kind of accented with a burnished kind of metal. Hold. Before I can grant you access to the Crystarium, I need you to confirm who you are and where you came from.
Lily probably is already standing out because of her mask alone. She'd stop and kind of look at the others and look back at this Viara. If I told you we're from the Crystal Tower...
She narrows her eyes at you. I don't recognize you as any citizens of the Crystarium that I've ever seen. Are the rest of you just letting Lily try to get through this on her own, or do any of the others of you?
I mean, she is.
No. You're leaving the person who has the shortest of tempers in charge of talking.
When we realize it's usually a Kemi saying things.
Yeah.
She
yeah, it is.
Slides her mask to the side and actually takes it off so to try and show them that she means no harm. Get off my stuff.
Tiny kitten.
Because we're not from around here. It's complicated.
Well,
if I told you we came from a place called Eorzea, and we were brought here through some kind of advanced teleportation magic.
We have no idea how we really got here.
We
were just pointed towards the Crystarium.
She looks over all of you and shakes her head. I have never heard of this Eorzea. And as with everything else you said, including that you were from the Crystal Tower beforehand, I'm sorry, I cannot suffer you to enter because I cannot corroborate your story. I cannot let you pass.
I couldn't hear you because Kitten muted you guys.
Oh, shit. Do you want me to repeat that last part?
Yes, please.
I'm sorry, but I have not heard of this Eorzea. And plus, with the fact that you mentioned that you were from the Crystal Tower, I cannot let you pass. I cannot corroborate your stories. And as such, I'm afraid you must leave.
Do you have somebody above you, like a superior or a leader we could talk to?
I am the captain of the guard.
I'm your manager.
Then she folds. She actually, at this point, draws her chakrams
which would prompt Lily to draw her weapon.
Yuku's like, we're not trying to pick a fight. We're not.
But I
We
will-
just have no idea where we're at.
She yells at Lily to get down.
You do realize if you draw your weapons, I'm going to defend myself.
Get down!
She'd move.
And you see this Vieira toss both of the chakrams in one combined motion, and right behind you was this hideous looking white winged creature that's just got slashed across the chest twice by the chakrams and collapses to the ground before exploding in a shower of white ether.
None of us saw this thing appear.
Nope. You all were busy. You were all
Yuku-
too busy, distracted by trying to argue with the captain of the guard.
Yuku looks from the thing to the Vieira. Thank you. What was that?
You mean you've never seen a sin eater?
Mm-mm.
That was a relatively small one as well. But they've been getting a bit close to the city recently. And she wanders over after putting the chakrams back on her hips and picks up a ring, a silver-looking ring. By the looks of it, this one fed recently too. I'd like you all to make me a very quick perception check, and you'll have to tell me the numbers because, again, cat. So I'm gonna have to ask you to leave soon. I can actually. Much as I
I
love cuddles.
call bullshit on that one and use an inspiration. Because I rolled a 2.
Oh shit!
I got it. 21.
I got a 12. I got a 6.
12.
I mean, you are short. It's hard for you to see things.
I got a 14.
I'm gonna say everyone except Yuku would remember that the merchant you were interacting with just a few short minutes ago had a particularly ornate silver ring that looks exactly like the one the captain of the guard is currently holding.
Oy,
I
well,
guess it wasn't safe after all.
What do you mean?
We
We
just
ran
talked to
into-
him a few minutes ago.
And you see the Vieira just kind of wore her hand over her face, pocket the ring. It's not safe out there alone. Not with eaters roaming the lands.
And yet you're sending people who don't really know what's going on out there instead of showing them hospitality.
There's a difference. And she looks like she's about to start arguing with you when behind her a robed figure with a crystalline, well, not a crystal, got kind of an ornate looking staff that has a crystal in its head, and the head is like a crisscross of metal beams in a rectangular kind of pattern in a way, like rectangular box with crisscrossing patterns in the middle of it with a blue crystal in the head of it. Ah, I see you've met my personal guests then, Captain Nina. Thank you for keeping them safe. I'll take it from here. And she turns around, kind of gives a kind of short bow. As you wish, Exarch. But are you sure? Some of their stories about some of their where they came from and such don't add up. Something about a place called Eorzea. One of them said they were from the tower. And he holds a hand. He holds his free hand up. Says, "They're from my homeland. It's long story." And you see her visibly kind of huff her shoulders and shake her head, and says, "As you wish, my lord." And then she turns back to the four of you, says, "Pray forgive my inhospitality. I did not realize that you were a guest of the Exarch himself. I will let him take you inside the Crystalline." And she heads back into the guard post.
So, Lily, being Lily, probably gonna walk up to the Crystalline Star and just be right there, almost nose to nose.
He is taking great pains to not show his face.
Because I'm pretty sure she would have recognized the voice that's been chattering in her head.
Oh yeah, you would. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're the one that's been summoning us here and giving me migraines. I ought to smack the living hell out of you.
And he holds, he rubs the back of his head and chuckles a little bit. My apologies, but I think, given what just happened, I think it might be safer to discuss this within the Crystarium proper, don't you?
She grumbles but nods. She'd follow him. Oh, go ahead, Jack.
I definitely think it would be wiser to go inside, especially after that. Before we make anyone else angry.
And unless anyone else has anything to add to that, he's going to turn and start leading you across the kind of the bridge that leads to the Crystarium proper.
Follow. Grumpily, but she'd follow.
And Jackson's definitely following.
I mean, Yuku kind of has no choice. She's riding on Jackson's shoulders, so.
Exactly. You're along for the ride, whether you want to be or not.
Uh-huh.
As you kind of head towards the main plaza of the city, you first encounter an etherite that has clearly been shaped in the style of this world, or at least the Crystarium, has a distinctly more cuboidy kind of look to it. Whereas a lot of the etherites in Eorzea are definitely more prism-like, definitely with like, I don't think how to describe it, like a spindle in a way. This definitely has that more kind of square or straight edge kind of prismy kind of look going on with it,
Mm-hmm.
rather than the rounded crystals of the etherites in Eorzea. And he looks to the four of you. First things first, I think it would behoove you to connect yourselves to this particular etherite to give you an anchor here in Norvrandt. Who knows, especially with the way you were brought here, you may be able to use a tenuous connection through the void to head back to your own to our shared homeland. And you notice that he said that very specifically to the people around. And after that, I would encourage you to go and explore the various environments of the Crystarium and to learn about our history before coming back to me in the Crystal Tower proper. And I shall let the guards know to let you in when you arrive. But until then, I will go and prepare for your arrival.
Lily would try to attune.
Give me an Arcana check, and anyone else who's going to try and attune just in case it backfires on Lily.
16.
Oh no, that was a big meow.
A 4.
24.
18.
Everyone. Okay, so you all see Shikyle try to go up, and Shikyle gets knocked in her ass. The other three of you managed to do it successfully, though, which also then just manages to transfer through to Shikyle, just because the nature, excuse me, of the link between the three of you. Technically, the six of you, but two of you are missing right now. You'll also notice that the Exarch did not mention anything about the companions, which is a bit weird. But for now, like he said, you should go and explore the Crystarium properly and maybe find out some information about where you've been transported to.
Yuku perks up and goes, "We should find an inn or something. There's usually lots of people there."
Or a bar.
And you, as you kind of focus on the Aetheryte, you know that there is a Ethernet point at a bustling kind of marketplace. As you kind of feel it, you feel two sets of like voices, so to speak. You feel people doing commerce and people at a bar, drinking, chilling out.
I guess Lily would head towards the bustling commerce.
Jackson would be heading that way as well.
So you all can use the Ethernet to get there lightning quick, and and the Ethernet point is actually between the main marketplace of the Crystarium, and there's a bar just up the way that you can go to as well.
She would look around the marketplace, try to see if she can't overhear anything that would give them a clue of what's going on, or any information that would be relevant to the situation.
I need to go use the facilities real quick, so I will let you all talk about yourselves. Shikyle, why don't you order some drinks and roll for me and see what happens? In fact, if all of you want to order, if all of you want to order drinks, roll.
Great.
52.
$100 apparently.
Wait, what?
Yuku rolled 100.
Oh shit!
You are blasted beyond relief.
It must be
Jackson.
her.
Took one sip, immediately got hammered to no end.
Must be that connection to her dwarf ancestry.
Jackson got a 33. So far less drunk than his companion.
Imagine the little Alfel just slides off the shoulder.
Yeah, assuming that she was still on top of Jackson, drinking away.
Not when she had her drink, no, but...
Okay. Damn.
No, but she would have slid off the frickin' stool she was on.
Oh, she definitely did that.
Giggle, 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 giggle.
Meanwhile, Chicago is looking at this and is like, "What a lightweight."
Yuku, counter to what Shikao does. When Shikao is drunk, you are so freaking hammered that you are definitely not able to coordinate yourself all that well. Until your next long rest, you're at -1 for everything.
Okay.
Because you're drunk as a skunk. Whereas Shikao, when Shikao gets this drunk, Shikao goes into drunken master and gets a +1. The rest of you are not drunk enough to be of any note. Not even Shikao, who thinks that maybe some of the alcohol down here might have been watered down. But the bartender looks at the four of you, including the drunken Yuku, and he looks at the other three of you in kind of a bit of concern as she gets that drunk, and she's like, "I've never known a dwarf to get so drunk so quickly."
I'm just remembering Doc from Back to the Future. That one drink.
Jackson, I'll keep an eye on her. She knows better.
But you
Giggle,
notice,
giggle, giggle.
but the three of you notice, and also Yuku, to be fair, that he called her a dwarf, not a Lalafell.
Yeah.
Do any of you do anything about that?
Yuku's too drunk to do anything about it.
Jackson kind of looks at Lily and goes, "She's a Lalafell."
Sorry. Had a small emergency.
You're fine.
Sam went to the storage unit and, like, all the lights turned off.
That's scary.
I was listening, though. I could hear everything that was going on. Watching the tomfoolery going on, Lily's going to get curious, and she's going to take the drink, and she's going to lap at it. You know, like cats do.
That's mine.
You don't get any more.
Took one sip, immediately hammered.
Lily, you've realised the drink is kind of potent. Maybe it has a different effect on, say, a wee Lalafellin lass's constitution. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with the drink. I mean, there's two possibilities. One, it's just Yuku got drunk real quick and is therefore a lightweight, or two, which is kind of a follow-on from one, maybe it's just a Lalafell thing.
Well, this is the first drink she's ever tasted. So her nose is going to wiggle and...
Yuku, what kind of drink did you order?
A medium strength drink.
Okay, but flavor profile. So
Very sweet.
yeah, Lily, this is clearly some kind of cocktail. Medium strength.
Ended up with absinthe.
And these are moonborns. Her eyes are usually really big anyway, and they're just going to see that they're fully dilated. And she's watching all the pretty colors right now.
Meanwhile, Chico sitting here just like, I'm surrounded by lightweights. She says as she drinks her like freaking extra strength freaking alcohol.
And Jackson's just here. Oh, right. Ugh.
And the barkeep looks at the two of you who are not drunk. It's like, you're right. I've also never known a Miss Dell to be so lightweight. Although your friend looks awful scholarly. Is she a bookworm? Maybe she'd be more at home in the cabinet of curiosities.
As they probably hear
Miss Stell.
What do you mean? What's a Miss Dell?
She's a Mikote.
What's a Mikote?
Point.
as a glass would get knocked off the counter as she is doing this and her tail's wagging as she's pawing at shit on the counter now.
Is that some kind of word for a feral? Is that some kind of special kind of word for a feral Miss Dell? I'm not very good with Miss Dell culture.
Confused. Yuku, confused.
I think we should go now and meet some of the others and then find the Crystal Exarch. Like now.
So who's going to be the lucky one that tries to pull Lily away from the objects?
That's a good question because there's only two people. One of them is a habitual drunk, and then there's Jackson, who's probably the only one who's somewhat semi-serious right now. There's no Akemi to lead you all, and no Crayon either.
Oh, you're charging.
It's like, is Lily still drinking that or no?
She's doing, when they look back at her, she went from knocking stuff off the counter to just holding the drink and lapping with those giant eyes.
Oh, the kitty bar? Why is that a gift?
Hey,
That's fine. You just sleeping.
I can't tell anymore. Are you drunk or are you stoned?
I mean, alcohol has a very interesting effect on her.
I'm made of silver vine, is it?
And I did promise.
She's not answering. She's just going to continue lapping.
You want to grab her and I'll grab little Miss Lightweight over here? Or do you
But
want me
first,
to grab her?
either one.
Yuku's already trying to stumble away.
I'm going after Yuku. You can grab Lily.
You four, she says, pointing to the Muggles. Grab the midget.
Oh!
Give her out of bacon versus popcorn.
The midget.
Oh, she's not going to be happy with that if she heard you.
Drunk out of her gourd right now.
Yuku, make a perception check with your -1 right now.
Perception, you said?
Yeah.
Alright, give me a sec.
I want to see if you actively pick up on what you just got called.
I'm just expecting the four Muggles to grab her and float in the air. Nope.
Yuku did not hear you call her that word.
So, while they're focused on Yuku, Lily is going to go in the opposite direction.
And go towards the pendants? The housing district?
Yes.
Jackson, you and Chicago. Jackson, Chicago, both of you see Lily walking off towards like this housing area.
We should go over there and get her back.
Yeah, before she blows something up.
The ice cream.
Yeah. How have you caught up with Yuku yet?
The Muggles.
The Muggles are dealing with her and have one limb in each set of paws. And it looks like there's
floating through the air, carrying the drunk off their ass dwarf.
The patrons of the bar are starting it's starting to be a grand degree of consternation. And some of them are asking, why is that dwarf floating through the air?
No one else can see the Moogles, that's right.
Moogles aren't a thing in the first.
Actually, they are.
Kind of.
It's
But they can't
this
see
is what
them.
this is what happens. Well, this is what happens when she gets drunk off her ass. She floats away.
Dying.
Okay, so what are you two going to do about Lily? The Moogles have the Moogles have Yuku under control. You think?
I'm chasing after Lily to try and grab her.
Meanwhile, Shikael literally just walks up to the bar and orders a bottle of whatever the hell that was. The Yuku and Liliana had.
Mrs. Lily run into anyone in her drunken slumbers.
Not yet. But just as Jackson catches up to you, you manage to bash into a Hrothgar, who looks very kind of merchant-like.
So, in her current state, she's going to kind of fill up this Hrothgar, look up at him and go, well, you're kind of cute and muscly.
He looks down and then looks around and doesn't see anyone looking in his direction, and then looks down at you again.
She's going to start nuzzling like cats do and purring.
Look, miss, I did not ask for a Mistel prostitute for the evening.
Finally manages to catch up. I'm so sorry. She's had a little too much to drink.
Oh, I can smell it now. Yes. Although I find it weird that the Mistel has a human for a minder.
His middle name is now Fuzznugget.
Well, as long as she doesn't cause any trouble to the shopkeepers around here, I suppose it's all as well.
At this point, like, Shikael would walk up with a bottle of the same booze that Yuko and Liliana had, with the 4 Moogles floating behind her with Yuku.
Yuku, are you trying to struggle out of the Moogle's grip?
Sorta? But, like, not actively. It's just more of a wee and, trying to fly.
Okay, I'm not gonna make you any. I'm not gonna ask you to make any checks to see if you stop being restrained and fall to the ground. Then,
I just imagine like Shikao leading them with Yuku having a lead wrapped around them, just like floating behind her like a balloon.
Well, when Jackson grabs Lily, Lily's just going to flop on him instead.
We got a bunch of lightweights.
Suddenly, Jackson's not quite so sure what to do anymore.
And the is real.
Look, do you know what? Let's see if there's a way around this. I'm going to let's see.
Will be fine.
Both Shikyle and Jackson give me insight checks, please. To start with. Jackson, you think you should take them to bed, and not in the kinky way. You think they need to sleep off the alcohol?
Yeah.
And
I think we need to find somewhere for them to crash, but we're supposed to meet with the Crystal Exarch?
oh, you are friends with the Exarch?
Yes.
Well, knowing the Exarch, he'll have made provisions for your arrival. And he looks back at the pendants, the house, kind of the apartment complex at the back, behind the bar. I think he will have made arrangements for you to have rooms in the pendants. You should go and speak to the keeper there to see if you have rooms ready made for you all.
All right. We will head that way then.
Yes. I know we were supposed to meet up with the Exarch, but at the same time, I don't think he wants to meet up with these two higher than a kite.
Not when they're like this, no. I think they'd also appreciate it if we let them sober up first.
Yes, especially this one who thinks she's a kite.
Yuku is currently just mumbling words over and over because words are fun and interesting right now.
And Lily has figured out that she can use her magic to make things glow.
What's she making glow?
Yeah, good question.
Just little ball of light in her hand.
Okay.
Hey.
So you'll head up towards the pendants, the apartments that are in the area. You see there are multiple kind of wards or wings of apartments. The pendants tends to be the high class ones, so as you approach the keeper of the pendants, his eyes brighten a little and he starts searching through the book without you even having to say a word. Ah, yes, the Exarch did mention that some natives from his homeland had come to the Crystarium, and he bade me prepare 6 rooms for you all. There are only 4 of you?
We're missing 2 right now.
Ah, okay. Well, and he hands, but he also notices that Yuku is floating, and Lily is trying to make him glow drunkenly, and he hastily hands Jackson the keys to his own room and to Lily's room, and Kyle gets the keys to Yuku's room and their own room.
Yes.
I'll hold the keys for your companions when they meet up with you for now, just to make sure they don't get lost. But your rooms are ready and made up.
Appreciated.
Thank
we need
you.
to get these guys to bed.
Before Jackson can drag her off, she's gonna try and make him glow like a glow stick.
Arcana check.
Is there a thing like the Vulcan neck chop?
No.
It just knocks a person fucking out.
The keeper starts glowing. What color does he glow?
No, Jack.
Oh, Jackson. What color does Jackson glow?
Considering her favorite color is pink, probably.
Jackson, you start glowing pink all over.
He just looks. Really?
It's a good color on you.
See what color on him.
All right, bedtime now.
And I thought I was the drunk.
Thing is, nobody knows how long that's gonna last.
These two got drunk after 1 glass. Not even 1 glass. Half a glass at most. This one, she says, pointing to Yuku, took a sip.
Just imagine fucking pink gunbreaker.
It was a
running into
goal.
battle.
It was a ship to everybody else.
Imagine
I
what
mean-
though?
The pink gunbreaker running into battle. But keep in mind, Lalafels have really big mouths. And I mean that literally. So a sip for them is like 2 glasses for us.
Let's just get you to bed.
And do either of our drunkards, and I don't count Shikal in that because Shikal is not actively drunk, or rather not drunk as these two.
The irony is that the lower she rolls, the more like these two she gets.
Yeah. Because you start getting more and more sober and start getting headaches, just like hangovers. Anyway, do either of you two resist being put into
No.
bed?
I
No,
wish I
just-
could say no.
Mild resistance in the form of I don't want to go to bed.
And Lily's
But
going to
that's it.
cling.
Okay.
She's going to do the cat thing and she's going to cling.
Clinging to Jackson.
Uh-huh.
Yuku's probably going to not like this, but Shikao going to look at the Mughals and it's like, do any of you know a spell to put her to sleep?
And the Black Mage Moogle waves their cane around, their rod rather, and bonk. No, literally tapped. Just kind of smacks Yuku on the forehead with a magic rod, and Yuku is out cold.
Okay, when you said bonk, I'm like, okay, it's either a sleep spell you tapped or just wham!
Or we got X-rated. Which we are not. No. No.
She got the shaft. I couldn't resist.
Ay.
They set me up. I couldn't just not.
I wasn't expecting the dice to hate me.
I was expecting the dice to hate us all.
Can you do that to the other one too?
There, you now have a quote in the channel's quote database. Yuli.
Check that.
Let's deal with the fact that Yuku is technically grappling with Jackson right now.
You mean Liliana?
Yuku?
Yeah, Liliana's
Yuku is clearly sleeping.
Yuku's off in dreamland.
Yeah, Yuku is clearly sleeping. I clearly meant Lily. I was looking at something else. Yeah, Jackson and Lily are technically grappling because Lily is being resistant to being put to bed. Just like trying to put a cat in a basket.
Uh-huh.
Would Chica know any way to get another Mikote to calm down?
I know you thought the same thing I did because you made a face.
My first thought was scritch behind the ears, but technically that's sexually arousing for cats.
Uh-huh.
Just grab the back of the neck, scruff of the neck. Just
Depending on the cat, that could be too. I'm sorry.
I am genuinely trying to think of something I'm not good with. I own a cat, but I'm not the best at. Donna is usually pretty calm, just cuddly and needy.
If you're trying to get them to let go, it's usually good to do a distraction. Get them focused on something else.
They
Lee and needy. That sounds like Liliana right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chicago, you would probably remember that distracting a fellow Mikote, especially in this kind of state, would probably get them to. Yeah, that's it. Basically, if you play with them, so like, and not in that way. Don't you dare, Yuli! I know what that face is for. I will not have any fade to black sessions of fucking Mikotes having sex. God damn! For those of you on the podcast, Yuli started fucking putting a face at me, and when I said the words "play with," given the current tenor of the conversation. No, when I said play with, I meant like balls of yarn or toy fish or something like that to tire her out.
Or
Nowadays,
you could always reflect some light off something and have a makeshift laser pointer.
Yes, that too. I mean, the other thing we were talking about would also tire her out. However, there would be consequences, and I don't know if we want to get into those consequences on the first game of a new season.
Oh, my brain went to. There's only complications if there's a male involved.
True. But you're on a completely different world, and you don't know if the same laws of nature apply. For the record, they do, but you don't know that in character. Not yet.
No, I can officially say after this, I don't think Lily will ever touch another alcoholic drink again in her life.
I mean, I'm fine with a GM if you do. I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm just like, this is.
Oh yeah.
This is just. I feel like we're definitely getting to the point of. This is going to get pornographic.
Yeah.
Okay. But there you go. Basically, to tire her out without resorting to more extreme or lewd methods, you need to basically use traditional cat toys.
Or a drunken Moogle.
Or a drunken Moogle.
Just bad at the pom-pom.
Just send the bard in there.
The bard Moogle looks at you and shakes their head like, no, I look, if you want me to do this, you need to give me something.
Hands him a bottle of wine.
Good enough.
Lily,
and he goes straight
when
in.
he reaches out to grab the wine, can Lily just snatch him and start batting at the pom-pom?
Yes, absolutely. As the
So
bard. Go on.
He doesn't even get the bottle before you just see the hands snatch him and just start lightly batting at the pom-pom.
The bard does eventually get handed the bottle of wine and starts to shoot it down because this is degrading for the poor Moogle to be used as a Mikote toy.
I mean, they follow around a Mikote. What do you expect?
Okay, but here's the question: Does Shikyle bat at their pom poms?
Not really. Not normally.
See that though Shikyle is Shikyle, they don't degrade the Moogles all that much, apart from the occasional tossing of the Moogle.
It gets worse. When she gets tired, she will death lock it in a grip and pass out cuddling this small little furry thing.
The bard kind of squeaks, "Help! Kupo!"
Chico just sighs and goes to get the Moogle free.
Should I roll for strength?
Yes.
Jackson's slipping towards the door now because, oh, I'm done.
Do I earn strength or athletics?
Athletics.
Oh, athletics.
Yeah. Make a post athletics.
At a -1.
Lily has So Lily got a 16 and Chicago got a 10. Lily still has the Moogle in a death grip.
Jackson's just watching from the doorway now. This could get quite entertaining.
Chicago just sighs and has the asks the black mage to cast hex on on Lily, just so we can get the other Moogle free.
I will just at that point, yes, in the hex, despite its usual mechanical effects,
Because
means
doesn't it cause damage?
No, only if I actually hit, it would cause extra damage. Otherwise, it's it's disadvantage on an ability check with the chosen ability, and that would be strength in this case.
Which is funny because my strength is at a 10.
Yeah, but you rolled high and I rolled like shit.
You lost out to a strength check against a healer as a DPS.
I don't use strength as my damage.
Oh, what's your strength?
It is a 14.
Does athletic goes off of strength or dex?
Strength.
Okay.
Acrobatics is dex.
Ah.
And I rolled a 6. You rolled a 16.
and then minus the one for being drunk is still 15.
No.
I'm going to say that just for simplicity's sake, so we don't start having to worry about damage and all the rest of it, the hex is on a helpless target and therefore automatically goes off, and Lily releases the Moogle. However, I cannot say that Lily's dreams will be pleasant.
If
In other words,
if they remember them after being drunk.
Exactly.
She might wake up in a very bad mood and not know why.
Yes. You were having very, very wonderful dreams of frolicking through a meadow, a purple meadow with Moogles and cuddling them and such. And then it very quickly changes to a barren kind of like you in Fanland with no Moogles. Like a hot desert with no Moogles at all.
Oh, that's sad.
That sounds like Chicago's hometown.
And thank you for the follow there, Express. Much appreciated.
But
that is a bot. I'm going to purge it. Activate moderator mode. Come on.
Release the bot.
Why do I not have?
Why is the kitchen open and the kitten's out? Tell me you have all three.
One's been missing for a while now.
We're not still sleeping over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna deal with that, but y'all keep talking. Eventually all of you do manage to get to bed. one way or another.
Not together
No.
this time.
This time.
Right. Maybe I should have cast heroism on the bard.
You could have. Why is it not letting me?
Or I could have used silent image and just had a freaking ball rolling back and forth across the room. There's so many options I could have done.
Ban. Gone. Piss off. Okay. Okay. Supreme power. Anyway, right. Russian bot dealt with. I can't. Is it not? Oh, I don't like that message, but whatever. Anyway.
The message was deleted by a moderator, so.
Oh yeah, it doesn't. I still see it because I'm a mod. Okay, right. Considering we're finishing probably a little earlier than normal tonight, we can just keep going. Next morning, Lily and Yuku. Well, okay, Lily first because you had slightly something more involved. You.
Alright, so what am I rolling?
You're not rolling anything.
Oh.
But you definitely had a bit of a nightmare where you had a bit of a weird dream that turned into a nightmare. That you started off having a wonderful dream about frolicking with Moogles, and then you suddenly had no Moogles.
So she's gonna grumble and roll out of bed.
Oh, you are hungover, but I'm not inflicting any kind of penalties or stat tests or anything for that because it's just
You're not
hilarious.
Chicago.
Just kind of holding her head a little bit.
Jackson would have sent a note to the Crystal Exarch apologizing for their delay.
Of course, she'd put back on her mask and stumble a little out of the door, just holding her head with this pounding headache. And the entire time she's heading down from the room, she is grumbling. And
you probably meet Chicago at the bottom of the stairs, still drinking.
They could probably feel her grumpiness, let's just put it that way, just coming off of her.
Oh yeah, she definitely has a grumpy aura.
Chicago just smirks and holds up a bottle of the stuff that Liliana was drinking last night. Can I for a drink?
She'd backhand it and shuffle past them.
Yuku, you also wake up. You definitely feel like there's a magical kind of aura / residue on you, like you were forcibly put to sleep, but you were at least in bed and cuddled up. Something.
And with a headache.
And with a hangover, yes.
Well, not just a hangover, just the headache from getting whacked.
Well, that too. So you got a double head pain. Woe is you.
With these two coming together, Chicago would just start moving around and preparing basically her version of Hair of the Dog. Because obviously these two can't handle their liquor. Or the after effect.
Tell me what this version of version of Hair of the Dog looks like.
Color-wise, or actually the ingredients?
Ingredients.
Give me 1 second.
Yuku is just gonna be stumbling out and just like looking for Jackson.
Jackson will be right there waiting.
That's not creepy at all.
One of those casual legs crossed.
It's
leaning
more
against
like it would be more like the wake up juice from Back to the Future.
Okay.
If you know what that is. It would be give me a second. It was literally Tabasco, jalapenos, mustard seeds, onion powder, white vinegar, and cayenne pepper.
They okay?
That is literally the recipe.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a chance in hell Lily will drink that.
She would probably get you when you're distracted and literally just come up from beside. Although that would probably be an opposed check.
Next
For
thing you
what?
know,
I don't know.
ends up on somebody's face and then their eyes are on fire.
X Jackson, what the frick happened?
You took a sip of a drink and made an absolute fool of yourself.
Groan.
We've had this discussion before.
You got to
It
feel
wasn't-
you got to feel what it was like to be a balloon.
It wasn't even that strong of a drink.
Clearly, it was.
Clearly.
This
Ow.
one took the rest of your glass over here, and she wasn't doing much better.
When they do this one, they notice Lily has walked off to find a counter that serves food.
Yuku, just, do you have any water I can drink? To Jackson.
Jackson would hand some over.
Shikael was considering handing Yuku her water skin, but that would probably be a bad idea.
Yeah, because Chikaile's is probably filled with alcohol.
Yeah, but you also got to remember she's got a bit of a prankster side sometimes.
Assuming that they would give Lily what she would want for breakfast, so to speak, she would walk back with 2 raw eggs in a cup with a little bit of vinegar. That she's mixing up with a spoon.
Shikael just looks at that and like, that never works.
It's for migraines, and it works perfectly fine for me.
Well, then obviously you've never had the good stuff.
And I never want to. If last night is any indication of what I am.
That's just sad.
Sorry, not all of us can enjoy being a drunk. As she downs this concoction. Didn't say she was in a bad mood.
Yuku is clearly not doing much better.
Hey.
And all we've learned about this place is that don't touch the drinks.
I don't know what you're talking about. She says she's taking a swig from the same bottle of booze that you two were drinking from last night.
Kyle,
Okay.
you need to make a drunk check because it's a new day.
Okay.
Yeah, Chikal's definitely getting up there.
That was always up there.
Well, yeah, but you're at 75% plus.
But Lily would go, okay, let me spell this out. We're still down 2 people. Who knows what happened to them? They could be dead, imprisoned, or worse. We're in a land that I'm pretty sure isn't anywhere near where we came from. Maybe not even, well, just a speculation here. The same time period or, I don't know, dimension or something. Something's off. We're surrounded by people that call us these weird names, racial wise, which means obviously not the same culture. And we have not a lick of what's going on. No direction.
Comments. You could comments. Was Mistel one of them?
Surprised you two
Because
even
that's stuck
remember.
in my head for some reason.
I'm surprised you two even remember how drunk you were.
I don't remember much.
Yuku, make me an insight check, please.
Yeah, she's basically just. That is a word I was repeatedly saying. So
Oh, this is a different kind of insight check.
okay. How do I do an insight check?
Go to
there
your
it is.
character sheet.
There it is.
Yeah.
I found it. 11.
While you don't remember exactly what was said, you seem to recall that someone made a comment about your height. You don't remember who. You don't remember the exact words used.
Also, who was the wise ass who made a comment about my height?
At this, Lily grumbles because they seem to keep getting distracted by all the little things. And she's just not rude. You know what? You guys can handle whatever this is. I'm going to go talk to the Crystal Exarch and I'm going to demand answers. And she just stomps off from the group towards the tower.
Shika looks over at Jackson and is like, we'd better go with her before we all end up in jail because of her.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure we were all on the same page. And trying to make sense of what happened yesterday when I just took a single drink.
Yep. Sometimes that happens.
You're so small that the alcohol just distributed extremely quickly.
Well, time to get going, if you're up to it.
Yeah.
Would people be partying or, how do I say this? Purposely avoiding this Makote? Okay.
Not particularly, but if she has a kind of like I'm angry kind of look on her face, a little bit.
She's got the mask on, but
if she's stomping, yes.
Yes. Okay. Gonna march right up to the guard for the tower.
Ah, you're one of the Exarch's personal invitees, yes?
Yep.
I'll let you into the ocular. Are your friends coming with you as well, or?
Points.
And the three of you, assuming you aren't arguing about anything else, also catch up to the others.
Yeah.
And in that case, unless any of you are doing anything, I'm going to take you all into the ocular, which is a very high-ceilinged room made out of crystal, with diagrams and various kinds of dioramas hanging off the, some of the crystal stalactites descending from the ceiling. And you also, it's very, very similar, if not identical, to the crystal tower that you came from.
Since they're all experienced in combat, our party is. And definitely with Jackson being a retired soldier, he'd probably be able to read Lily's body language that she's probably going to do something that they don't want her to do. Because her first instinct is to grab the Exarch by the thing and just lift. Even though she doesn't have the strength to do that. But you know what I mean. And demand answers.
And it's probably far shorter.
I don't know. I mean, Grahatia wasn't all that tall.
Wasn't.
I don't think the Crystal Exarch was much taller.
How tall is Lily?
She's about average for Makote. I want to say maybe 5'8".
Yeah, she's definitely taller than.
That's a lot taller than Shikao. Wasn't she like 4'10" or something?
Yeah. Jackson, you see that Lily's body language is definitely one of threatening, assaulting, grappling. You don't even need an insight check for that.
Gonna be running up behind her to try and slow her down just a bit.
How?
Yuku holding on for dear life.
Would he put his hands on her, like grab her arm, or do the whole headlock thing, or just kind of step in front of her and be like, whoa?
He'd step in front of her and be like, hey, come on now. We want answers. This is not the way to get them.
The Exarch seems relatively unfazed by all of this.
Sorry. She sighs. Fine. Do it your way. I want to at least know where our companions are.
That I can answer. Both Akemi and Crayon due to the weird properties of the rift, they came out a little sooner than the rest of you, at least based on my estimates. And therefore they woke up a little sooner than the rest of you, which also meant they didn't encounter that merchant that you did that unfortunately got eaten by a sin eater, which is another separate topic altogether. And they made their way here.
So they left us.
Sounds like we weren't even there yet.
No, you based on my calculations, you had only just started to appear out of the rift when they had arrived. It may have had something to do with the fact that both of them have void energy swirling around them. That may have interfered with their emergence and brought them forward. But they managed to come here before the rest of you, also before the rest of you landed and even woke up. And were actually with some other friends of yours. And if you will permit me to explain, I will firstly apologize for the nature of my teleportation magic. Using the tower as a conduit, it is not the most accurate way to summon someone across the rift between worlds, but you six are not the only ones who made it across the rift. Your companions in the Scions are also here, but they are spread out across Norvrandt on their own separate missions. And I will now explain where each of them are.
Before he explains that the Scions are here as well, her hackles raise and she tries to push past Jackson very, very angeredly.
I think you and Jackson need to make opposing strength checks for like the third or fourth time tonight.
Ability check.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Jackson's fine.
Then I'll roll a straight 3.
And here I was expecting like a 20.
Jackson rolled a 7 with +4, that goes up to 11. Jackson manages to restrain you still. Lily.
She kind of lashed out. What do you mean they're here?
The magic inadvertently targeted those who you were also close to or had significant bonds with. Each of you, except for, say, Jackson and Yuku, had dealings with Y'shtola. You had links to all of the Scions in different forms, although some in lesser degrees, and therefore those ones with less degrees were not pulled through the rift, which is also a good thing because of the tale I'm about to tell you. Now, I'm going to explain where the Scions are and where Akemi and Crayon fit into this, and then I'm going to tell you why you're here. So, as the Scions. Alphino is out in Calusia trying to gain information on the city of Umor, which is a belligerent city-state compared to the Crystarium. They call it the City of Final Pleasures because that is where the world's rich and elite have gone to live out their final days before light finally engulfs the world. Alizé has gone to Amarang and works as a mercenary sort, helping a group of healers who are trying to find a cure for those tempered by the Sin Eaters. Bancred is a wandering sellsword of sorts, but he is protecting a young girl who is a reincarnation of the Oracle of Light. Uriange is at Ilmeg, the land of the Pixies, studying their ways, and I dare say also being tricked by them, because Pixies... The Fey folk are rather tricksome, shall we say, and Uriange is a bit stoic, as you well know. And Y'shtola is doing research with a group of night worshipping cultists called the Knights Blessed in the Raktika Greatwood. But she hasn't been able to make much progress because of a band of Viera, or Vis, as they were called in this part of the world, or rather this part of the star. The Shard. Or the Exarch is getting a bit wound up. Denying her further entry into the Greatwood proper. As for Crayon and Akemi, they went to go and assist Alizé to act as guardians for the inn at Journey's Head, which is where these healers are trying to tend the sick who have been afflicted by Sin Eaters. Do you follow me so far? Basically, each of the Scions is doing their own thing in a different part of the world to try and find a solution to our mutual problem, which is the flood of light. And he taps his staff on the crystalline floor, and there's this wavy kind of energy as the scene changes, and it shows you the kind of what it basically shows you the crystalline flood at Nebath Arang in Amarang, which is a very desert-looking old Persian sort of. If you compare it to a real-world civilization, it looks very Persian in its kind of architectural style. And the Exarch continues to explain. About 100 years ago, a band of heroes known as the Warriors of Light managed to defeat a creature known as the Shadowbringer, which was the last check on this world's etheric balance. Once the Shadowkeeper had been... Shadowkeeper, that's right, not Shadowbringer. I'm getting my expansion name confused with my boss names. Anyway, the Shadowkeeper was the last bastion of darkness on this world. But the Heroes of Light, the Warriors of Light, have been tricked by Ascian into slaying the Shadowkeeper and therefore allowing light to break free and run rampant across the world. What you see here, and he's kind of gesturing at the vision of this place that you've kind of teleported to but not teleported to. You're there in spirit in a way. This is where the Oracle of Light herself gave her life, and those of four of her of the Warriors of Light to hold back the flood from engulfing the world. But it is a temporary solution that's lasted about 100 years. Now, and from the death of the Shadowkeeper and the Flood of Light came the Sin Eaters. First Sin Eater Eden, that is out somewhere in the barren lands called the Empty, which are completely devoid of ether. You know, Eden is floating or flying around out there somewhere in the Empty. But from Eden comes the other Sin Eaters, and they have a hierarchy of sorts. The ether that you saw Captain Lena destroy is most definitely a lesser Sin Eater, but there are greater Sin Eaters and even more powerful ones called Light Wardens that have control over much vaster areas and much more corrupted properties. And thanks to their emergence, shall we say, we now find ourselves at a crossroads. The world again is dangerously close to falling into astral stasis, into light. And if you know anything about how a calamity happens, which I believe you may have gotten some insight from your version of the Crystal Tower, but once there is enough of a crack in the walls of the kind of the veil in the void between the source and a shard world like this, then ether can flow from here to the source and cause a calamity. And we are at that point. Unless someone does something. Now, the reason that the source is dangerously close to another calamity is because of the Garlean Empire and their machinations. Through my own scrying of what is going on in your world and what Yurionje has told me, the Garleans have a bioweapon called Black Rose, which it would help to explain that light and dark as opposite poles of etheric alignment with different elements comprising each side. Light is stasis. It is keeping things still and unmoving and such. But the way the Garleans have developed this Magitech bioweapon is that it brings living things into stasis. They halt. They cease to be, and they don't even properly return their ether to the star. If the Garleans manage to deploy that bioweapon in your timeline, that will, and no one does anything to stop the situation here in Norvrandt on the 1st, both worlds will have met the conditions for what is known as a rejoining or a calamity. And the source will be washed over with light, and Black Rose will run rampant and kill millions. So it was with that in mind, given that the current political state of play on the source between the three grand companies was not at an acceptable point to fight the Empire head on and try to stop them deploying Black Rose. So to prevent this world falling to the light, and to prevent your own from having the 8th Umbral Calamity thrust upon it, I brought you here. To try and restore the balance of this world. Which is not an easy task, but easier than trying to fight the Empire at this point in time.
Lily would step back from Jackson a little. Okay, I get it. But I have a concern.
What kind of concern?
Would she, or do I need to roll insight? Would she have picked up on his voice at all?
No.
Okay, good.
It's different enough that it's throwing you off.
She would, because she took her mask off, kind of like what I learned when I met my traveling companions. Trust isn't easy. And as much as I want to trust everything you're saying, I don't know. It sounds too big for me. I'm not a hero. I'm not some grand adventurer. I'm a sage. I'm a pursuer of knowledge. I'm not even really a soldier.
Yuku just looks over at Lily. I'm going to stop you right there. You fought Ifri and survived.
Barely. Do you not remember
You still
how that
survived.
ended?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the after effect. You survived. And you were willing to you were willing to give your life to save ours. If that's not heroic, I don't know what is. If that's not a hero, I don't know what is.
We also faced the Moogle King.
that's still within the limits of control. You're talking about saving an entire world. Fighting a primal, yeah, it's like a huge thing, but where do you even start with something like this?
We get
Answer me that.
information.
You got information.
Well, more information.
Where do you start but the beginning? We find out how it started and figure out how to reverse it.
Well, I can help there. The beginning, I already explained, was caused by the flood of light because the last band of heroes upon this world thought they were helping, but they were really at the machinations of an Asian who was trying to force what they call a rejoining, a calamity. They thought they were saving the world by getting rid of the Shadowkeeper. In reality, they were breaking the last lock to upset the balance of the natural balance of ether on this world. The way to combat that is to purge the various lands of Norvrandt, what remains of the first that's not been stripped of its natural ether of light. And I can't say too much right now for fear of certain forces overhearing me and using that information to their advantage or our disadvantage. But I strongly believe that you six are capable of restoring the balance to this world. To do that, we're going to have to hunt down the Light Wardens and put them to the sword. But I understand that that's a massive undertaking. So here is what I would like you to do. Go and find Crayon and Akemi in Amarang. And go and see what the light does to your average person. How to combat it. And then go and find Alphino in Pelusia to go and understand more about Yulmore and their society and their leader, Lord Vorfrey. And once you have seen all that information with your own eyes, you'll understand. And then you can decide whether this task is truly beyond you. I do not believe it is at all, but I cannot make that decision for you. If this is truly beyond all of you, then he taps the staff again, and it returns to the regular kind of view of the ocular. He gestures to the portal behind him. There's like a liquid crystalline portal behind him. We can return you to the source. But keep in mind what I have said about the 8th Umbral Calamity. At that point, your only recourse to stop it is to defeat the Empire. And that is a much bigger undertaking than what I am offering here, for reasons I cannot necessarily go into without interfering with the timeline.
Which is kind of scary in and of itself, that an empire is harder to defeat than restoring a shard. Lovely.
She sighs. Well, in other words, I just don't have a choice. And before you go, yes, you do. No, I don't. So let's see where this goes.
You've at least had a choice most of your life.
Jackson, what's your decision?
I say we meet up with our fellow party members. I'm sure they're wondering about us.
Lily would key into what Shakyle said. First time they've actually said anything about their past. Just because it seems that way doesn't mean I actually did.
More than I did.
Perhaps. I just don't have a good feeling about this.
Yeah, well,
And
yes, we do. I mean, I'm all for sending the Empire back to the Stone Age, but we don't really have much choice here.
All we
don't
can
take
do is try.
She's saying, don't take this the wrong way. Points at the Crystal Exarch. I don't trust you. I don't know what it is, but I don't. There's something about you that's just gets my fur on end.
Do you trust any of us?
Believe it or not, yes. It's different. Like, I don't know. It's not like the trust between us. Like, I trust you guys to have my back in combat and things like that. I may not trust you with my life story, but I trust you enough to keep me alive. This is something else. I don't have words really to express it. There's something about that one and this whole situation that just makes me afraid.
Do you want to
Here's-
discuss it over breakfast or something?
She'd chuckle. Of course, you go to food.
Right.
We haven't eaten breakfast yet.
That's why I grabbed the eggs.
Right. I thought it's like, I'm pretty sure Shikyle and Jackson would have probably eaten breakfast to begin with. Then you two woke up hangover.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, in character, it's like, food is always good. Out of character, it's like, great, we were traveling with a bunch of hobbits. Second breakfast.
I mean, we haven't really had a real meal this morning, at least the two of us, so sure. Breakfast is fine.
Awesome. And we can talk about this without being rude to our host.
She would shoot the Crystal Exarch a very, I don't know, warning like glare. And if anything happens to my comrades, I'm going to hold you personally responsible.
Understood. I would expect nothing less.
You dragged us into your fight, and we'll fight. But if I'm the last one standing at the end of this, believe me, you'll pay. And she'd walk out.
Yuku's on Jackson's shoulder, so she kind of can't go anywhere.
Jackson's slowly trailing after the others. The sweat drop emotion.
And the Exarch calls out, before you go to get to Armorang, you should when you are ready, go and visit the Amaro keepers up at the Amaro launch, and they'll give you
Arrows.
winged beast of burden. They aren't chocobos. I don't think Kemi had any issues with the Amaros as compared to the chocobos, but they are also descendants of the Fey folk. But think of them as your flying steeds that will take you to Amarang to go and find your companions when you are ready.
Thank you.
And unless anyone wants to say anything more or do anything more,
Nah.
Not at the moment.
we are going to call it there for the night then. Excuse me, Madame Cat. So that we don't go too far and we don't leave our compatriots in the dust and leave them behind. Speaking of dust, that's where you're heading next to the deserts of Amarang. And yeah, so
Like, what do you mean in the dust? They're ahead of us.
yeah. Yeah, so thank you for joining us for our season opener for season 2. They got the mission, and they got to carry it out. I don't know which I prefer, either fighting to save a world or fighting against the Empire. I think I would prefer the dealing with Light Wardens over the Empire at this point in the timeline.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes. Yeah.
Didn't light the Crystarium on fire.
I mean,
We almost did.
to
yeah.
be fair, Shika would be perfectly happy nuking the Empire
Oh, your turn will come.
for her
Right.
own reasons.
Despite her attitude, if you listen to her words more than her attitude, you'd realize that she was speaking out of concern for the people that she's traveling with.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was noted. But Yuku was trying to diffuse the situation a little.
Because what she's noticed is that this party, everybody's ready to just jump into danger head first and not ask any questions. But then they get mad at her when she tries to sacrifice herself to save people.
So, with that in mind, closing things. Yeah, so tomorrow is Fixtures 5 over here on Vector 8:30 with Artemis and the crew. Don't forget to donate to Extra Life. That's 2 games of ours now that I've tried to bribe up our folks with, like, hey, you can get to create an item if you give us $10 towards